History Month, finding a qualified attorney can be a challenge, especially for people of color looking for someone who shares their perspective. Kelly Lynn sits down with a Prince George's County attorney who found a way to connect the Black community to those legal professionals.
Today is Justis Connection's birthday.
A social media post to mark the 2-year anniversary of a service former civil rights attorney Keisha Brown felt compelled to launch.
Justis Connection is the first online Black attorney referral platform in the country.
From business or family law to estate planning and personal injury, Brown provides a resource she says is extremely difficult to find.
We needed to be able to have a network to purposefully connect us.
Black attorneys are in short supply. A national survey released by the American Bar Association last year shows only 5% of active lawyers in reporting states were Black, while 81% were white.
We ensure that that person is properly barred in the state that they say they are, as well as not having any current or pending grievances against them.
Attorneys then pay a monthly or yearly fee for being connected to customers. Those in need of a lawyer like Mark Lawrence pay nothing.
It's really about the idea of, when you talk about communities and representation, people that can have the same experiences or simulate or somehow have the empathy because they understand your conditions or your culture.
Since Keisha started her business in 2021, more than 1,100 people have reached out to Justis Connection for legal help.
Largo attorney Vernon Brownlee, who specializes in criminal and DUI defense, says having the referral and professional development support is invaluable.
Justis Connection has put me into contact with other legal professionals that I can rely on for legal questions, legal support, and also it helps me connect with potential clients.
A business that partners with 30 attorneys in the D.C. metro area and has now expanded to Florida, Georgia, New York, and Chicago. The ultimate goal, to go global.
The full vision is for it to be an online marketplace dedicated to the Black experience in the law.
For 7 News, I'm Kelly Lynn.
Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Justis Connection's March Live Ask Me Anything. And tonight, you got a treat in store. I'm so excited, right? We're talking to 3 amazing attorneys who are about to break this thing down. So I hope you got your notepads and your notes on you, because some of y'all are like, what's a notepad? Your notes feature on your phone, all of the things, because these are some tips and tricks that you're going to want to know about. And so let me back up a second. I'm Keisha. I'm the founder and CEO of Justis Connection. And we are an amazing network of Black attorneys who are here to serve our community. And we do everything. Let me tell y'all, Black attorneys do it all and do it all very well, right? And so I had to have this conversation. We wanted to have this conversation about personal injury because it's so universal, right? If you haven't been in a car accident yet, knock on wood, wherever it is, right? And so I want to ask you in the chat, I want to ask you, have you ever been in a car accident? Have you ever seen a car accident? Do you know someone who's ever been in a car accident? And if you have the answer no to any of those, then I want to know what rock you live under, okay? Because I'll tell you one thing, you don't live in Atlanta, because you can't live in Atlanta and not have been, seen, know someone. The way they got 17-lane highways and you got to take 5 of them just to get to church on Sunday, you need to be tuned in, right? Same thing, the DMV, we got a whole highway called on the side called, what is it called? The Mixing Bowl, right? Because it's literally all these highways coming together. So one way or the other, we are susceptible to the realities that we're going to interact with other people and we're going to get hit. Somebody going to hit us, whatever it is. And we need to know what we need to know. And if you don't know, none of us are just born with it. None of us are born with it. They don't have a course in school, whether you were in high school, college, or whatever. Come on, Sean, work with me here, right? There's no rule book. There's no playbook to this. And so it is important for us to be able to hear insight so that we are prepared for if and when it does happen to us or someone that we love and know. So so it's not lost on me too that we are having this on the Thursday after daylight savings time. Okay, how many of y'all struggled on Monday morning? Like, here we go. Or was it, wait, it was Sunday. It was Sunday we lost the hour, right? Sunday we woke up and a whole hour was gone out of our lives, gone forever. Well, at least until we get it back when it's spring, right? And I was reading that on Monday, there is a 6% increase in car accidents, car fatalities on the Monday morning, right? Following daylight savings time, because people are so, their brains haven't tuned in. So the timing of this is perfect because unfortunately Monday there were more car accidents, and God willing, none of us on here tonight were in one of those. But if you were, then you're especially tuned in. So we're going to jump right on in. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my first guest, right? So my first guest is an amazing attorney based in Virginia. So shout out to the state for lovers, right? Virginia's in the house. And Dwayne King went to UNC Chapel Hill undergrad, and he went to HU for law school right here in Washington, D.C. I'm going to go ahead and bring Dwayne to the stage so we can get talking. Hello, Attorney King.
Hi, Keisha. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well this evening. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You know, I had to kick it off with you about like all things car accidents, right? I know that you have one of the largest personal injury law firms in Virginia. Hello, I said it. Okay. People need to know who you are. And so you see this every day. Like this is, you know this like the back of your hand. I mean, what is the thing that you first tell someone when they call? And they're like, oh my gosh, Attorney King, what should I do? I've been in a car accident.
Well, for your viewers, I think the best thing for them to know is what to do when you get in a car accident. So that way, when the people that call me that have been in car accidents, and I'm going over things, asking them things about what they did, and I say, did you do that? And they say no. I'm like, okay, all right, well, you should have did this. But so for your viewers, I think it'll be most advantageous for them to know what to do if you get into a car accident. The first thing you should do, a lot of times people think that you have to have a police report for a car accident. But the thing is that in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, a lot of times the police won't make a report. If you tell the police that you're injured, in some jurisdictions, it's required that they make a report. So if you're injured, you definitely want to tell them that. But the thing about injuries and car accidents, they don't always present themselves right away because the adrenaline is pumping. So a lot of times people say, well, I feel okay now, you know, and as soon as the police officer hears that, they say, okay, well, look, you guys just exchange information and I don't have to write a report. You guys go about your way. You work it out with your respective insurance companies. All right.
Okay.
The thing about that is when you exchange information with somebody, all you're doing is most of the times all you're doing is exchanging insurance companies. And that's not enough. You need to be exchanging more than that. Let me tell you. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
You need to be taking a picture of the person's driver's license. I have a case right now that I had to hire an investigator to find the person that she was in a car accident with because all she had was a name. She had the name and she got their insurance company, but insurance companies aren't required to tell you where their insureds live. So long story short, we're having to take her case to court, right? Whenever you take a case to court, you have to sue up individual and you have to serve them. Insurance companies aren't under any duty to tell you where their insured lives or how they can be served or even accept service on behalf of their insured. So all she had was a name. So I got my investigator and he eventually found this person. But the thing about it is that, you know, he costs money, you know, he costs money, and that's money that is going to come from her eventual settlement verdict, whatever. Sorry, you might hear my kids in the background. But that's money that's going to come from her its eventual settlement or verdict or whatever that she could have avoided had she just been like, okay, well, let me see your driver's license and taking a picture of that.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't realize that because, and that's so important because more times than not, a lot of times I'm seeing like no police reports taken at all. And so it's just important. Obviously, if that information is on the police report, it's easy for me to get in our office to work off of the police report. But another reason the police report is important because of the narrative that that's given at the scene, right? Because that narrative can change later on, right? So say you're in an accident and it's a red light, green light situation, and the person runs a red light and they tell you on the scene, hey, I'm sorry, I ran the red light. The police come and they tell the police, I ran the red light. I'm sorry. The police officer writes that on the report. It's documented. The police officer can be called in the event your case goes to trial and say, hey, did you come to this scene on this date? Yes, I did. Did you get a statement from this individual? Yes, I did. And what did they say? They said exactly what I wrote in the report. If no police report is taken, right? Somebody can say, hey, I'm sorry, I ran the red light at the scene. No police report is taken. They get home and they start thinking, oh, my insurance is going to go up if this is, I'm already like stressed out over, this and this. So the last thing I need is for my insurance to go up. So they'll tell the insurance, they'll lie. They'll say, hey, I had a green light. I had a green light. And then that point is word versus word. And it would be very hard for an attorney with no independent witnesses. It's very hard for an attorney to prove that this person ran the light. And insurance companies know that. They know even if they know that their person is at fault or guilty or what have you, they don't care about that. All they care about is what can you prove? Okay. If you can't prove it, it didn't happen. Right. So the thing that I would stress the most to your viewers is that get a police report if you can. All right. Check, like if you get in an accident, obviously the adrenaline is going to be pumping. And obviously I'm not going to tell you to fake an injury if you're not injured. But if the officer asks you if you're injured, say, yes, I'm feeling a little funny right now. Yes, I am injured. And that will trigger him having to make a report for your accident. And that's gonna, and it's not like you can't go back later on and say, you know what, I thought I was injured at the scene. I felt a little funny.
I mean,
and 2 days later, I'm fine now. It's better to have a police report and not need it than need it and not have it. So that's probably one of the most important things that people just don't know when they get into accidents. Is just like you need to get all that information. You need to get the statements to the officer, and if you can get the officer to write a good synopsis of what happened on the scene, it's going to help you out in the long run.
Wow. So that's like the smoking gun, huh?
I think it's a smoking gun that people don't really think about. I mean, there's a few smoking guns, but that's probably one of the initial smoking guns that people just don't think about when they get into accidents. And the officer says, well, you guys just exchange information. They think that's just enough. Yeah.
So, okay. So what happened I need to hire an investigator. So the private investigator is like going around the scene, finding the person, checking outside their job, waiting for them to take their smoke break. They come out and they're like, we got them. So then what happens?
Yeah. So once a person is served, once you sue someone, we file a lawsuit in court and we get a summons to serve that individual. And we give that summons to our process server, and then he's responsible for serving them. A lot of times people avoid service. People have dogs, vicious dogs, and say, hey, you come past this fence, this dog is going to get you. They have all kinds of ways to avoid service. But thankfully, you have a good process server, a good investigator. They know how to get around those things. But once a person is served, they get those papers that they're served with to their insurance company, and then their insurance company is responsible for providing them with a defense. I'll say another important thing is that you notify your insurance company right away, whether you feel like you're at fault or whether you feel like the other person is fault. No matter what, let them know right away. Let them know the story, and then let them do their own investigation as to what happened. Because a lot of times what people don't realize is that with the insurance contract that you sign with whatever insurance company you have, there's a duty to let them know about, accidents within a certain time period in order for them to pay out on your behalf. So, sometimes I've had insurance companies deny claims because their insured didn't follow the contractual duty that was placed upon them when they got insurance. Now it's not like, 1 day or 2 days. I mean,
you got to be specific, because people like, we got to call them right now. They touching their neck.
It's not 1 day or 2 days.
Okay.
But I think you should, just to be safe, let your insurance company know right away. Hey, I was in an accident. I don't think it was my fault, but this is what happened. Or I was in an accident. It was my fault. This is what happened. And then, because that's what you have insurance for, right? If you're not gonna let your insurance company know about things like this has happened, why do you even, like, what's the reason why are you paying your premium? They're there to defend you in the event that you need the defense. So I would say you make sure you do that. And so those are probably two of the most important things that I can think of just right off the bat that people don't really think about.
Yeah, the insurance company piece is interesting, right? Because sometimes you feel like the insurance company don't really got your back, right? You pay them all this money every month, and then you trip and your car gets a dent, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna raise your rates, right? Oh, we're gonna charge you more now." And so sometimes people are like, "Should I call them? Should I wait? Should I not?" Have you ever had to go like toe to toe with an insurance company?
Yeah, all the time. And just from what you just said, a lot of times people don't want to sue or make a claim against their own insurance company. Say, for example, God forbid, you got into an accident tomorrow, right? And somebody hit you and they were either uninsured, meaning they didn't have any insurance at all, or they were underinsured, meaning that they didn't have enough money to cover your damages. In that event, your only option would be to go through your own carrier. Okay. So people should make sure that they have both uninsured and underinsured coverage. It's mandatory in the DMV area. But the thing about it is the mandatory part is mandatory, but there are low minimums, right? And the minimums in DC is 25,000. Minimum in Virginia, I think, is 25,000 as well. And in Maryland is 30,000. So if you have that type of a minimal policy, say somebody hits you and breaks your leg, right? They have the minimum policy 30,000, right? You have a minimum policy yourself of 30,000. Your injuries are not going to be covered. Your damages aren't going to be covered, right? This person, you could sue them, but what are you going to get if they don't have any money? In which most people don't. What are you going to get if you sue them and all they have is, they don't have a quote unquote pot to piss in other than their coverage, right? So I would tell all your viewers to make sure your uninsured and underinsured limits are, probably 100,000 and above, just to make sure that you are covered in the event somebody hits you and you have a devastating injury, and in the event that you have devastating injury and you get covered, because otherwise, you could have all these medical bills and the person that hits you, they have a small policy and they'll pay that policy towards your bills. But after that, you're on the hook for those bills and it wasn't your fault. Right.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can everybody listening go and get some good policy? Just everybody had the right policy, a good, strong policy. The next brother coming up is going to break it down for the ATL. So stay tuned. I know we got a bunch of Georgia folks on today, but I'm gonna need everybody to have good policy, because I thought that as long as they were covered, then you're good there, and everybody's taken care of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're covered, but that's in quotes, covered, because they don't have enough coverage. It's easy. It's a tough situation to deal with the client and tell them that, hey, this person that hit you, I know you got injured pretty bad, but this person that hit you just doesn't have much coverage, and the coverage that you have isn't much either. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get you compensated for the amount that you should be compensated.
That sounds like a really tough
It
conversation.
is a very, very tough conversation. Very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I got like a whole bunch more questions. I'm not going to pepper them all to you because we do have two other attorneys coming up, but I do want to ask you this is a real serious with Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to like dig real deep
Okay.
and answer from your soul.
Okay. Okay.
So we're in Women's History Month, right? This is
Mhm.
Women's Month, and
Mhm.
we're really in the century of the woman,
Yes.
right? That's a whole nother thing. But I just would love to hear your thoughts on Black women, right? So Black women have tons of magic. It's Women's History Month. Um, the mic is hot. What do
All
you
right.
think of when you think of Black women? Everybody tune.
Well,
Everybody
when
listen.
you say Black women, you touch a chord in me when you say that, because I come from a family of Black women, and let me explain that. My mother is one of 7, all girls,
Come on.
and my dad is one of 5. He was the only boy, right? So I only have aunts by blood, you know.
Mm,
So, and all of these aunts were like mothers to me, and from day one, um, it was a Black woman, babysitting me, spanking me, giving me advice, to this day, like, and it's just like all of my aunts have been mother figures to me. And I started out, I mean, it's just like and they're all strong Black women. So,
mm.
my whole life has been shaped by Black women. I owe my success.
Come
I
on.
owe my personality in a lot of ways. I owe my respect. I owe my demeanor. I owe all of these things to Black women. And so when you say Black women, it's like I don't even have the words to express how much of an impact Black women have had on my life.
Amen. I
Yeah.
receive it. That's a good one. That's a good one. Look,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna let you go just yet because I want you to be here when we bring up your brother. So John Moore is joining us from ATL, and what's beautiful about tonight's lineup is that HBCUs are representing strong, right? So John is a proud graduate of FAMU down in Florida, and then also graduated from Florida State University College of Law. So hello there, John. How you doing?
Good, Keisha. How you doing tonight?
Good. No complaints. Yeah. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's definitely an
Yeah.
honor to be with you.
Wonderful. So look, I'm not gonna. You got a bone. You got a tip on what my last question is. So we're not gonna start there. We're gonna end there. So you got a little time to percolate on.
Yeah, I heard it. I was thinking about the answer I'm gonna give. I already. Well, I'm gonna give you what popped into my mind.
All right, just let's jump in. Let's do what? Tell me, Black women. First thing on your
The
mind.
thing that popped into my mind was the queens of the world.
Come on. All right, Dwayne, I gotta let you go. Need all the room for John. Thank you so much, Dwayne. We appreciate your words of wisdom this evening.
Thank you.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you for having me. All right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Dwayne.
All right.
You were saying?
The queens of the world.
Come on.
That's just the truth. I mean, like Dwayne, Black women have, of course, been extremely influential in my life. My mother is an attorney, and she is who convinced me to go to law school and to practice law. But the matriarchs all throughout my family. I mean, we wouldn't be here without our Black women. The world wouldn't be the place it is now without Black women. The United States would not be the country that it is without the efforts and the sacrifices that Black women made. So,
Amen.
that's what it is.
Look, you're not speaking truth so far, so we ready to dive in and really get your legal eagle information and knowledge. How long before we get started? Because I would love to hear a little bit about your overall practice, right? I know you're based in Atlanta. You have an amazing practice. Y'all have to go check. I'm going to give you his website information and so forth a little later. But John has a really strong practice based in the ATL. Could you tell us a little bit about the areas of law that you cover?
Sure. So our practice is called the Moore Law Group. and I'm the owner and managing partner of the Moore Law Group. And we actually have an office in Florida as well. So our primary office is in Atlanta, Georgia, and I also have a satellite office in Orlando, Florida. I'm licensed to practice in both Georgia and Florida. I've been doing this for about 23 years. Right now, our primary practice area is personal injury law, which includes automobile accidents, trucking accidents, slip and falls, nursing home negligence, any kind of a case where someone's been injured as a result of someone else's negligence is what we primarily do. I also do some commercial litigation work. And those, in a layman's terms, it's like business disputes. When you think of breach of contract type stuff, that's commercial litigation work. So we do that. And in my prior life, I was a corporate bankruptcy lawyer before I became a personal injury lawyer. I was at a big firm for a number of years, and I still do some bankruptcy work from time to time. My personal injury practice and the commercial litigation practice have kind of taken over, but I'm gonna ramp up the bankruptcy again, because what I found is that with COVID, a lot of people kind of got lazy, stopped wanting to work. They were getting, government aid and kind of living off that, and now that's kind of dried up. So people are getting in trouble financially and are wanting to file bankruptcy. So I'll probably get back into that too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know a lot of people don't want to go back to whack jobs that underpay. So employers got to step that thing up too, because workers need higher wages, and folks have so much creativity, like yourself and what you do for your clients. Tell me a little bit about Dwayne shared with us one of his cases where he had to hire a private investigator to go and sort of track the other side down. Is there any particular case that stands out for you that you've had in recent times?
There is one, and I'll use the case and I'll segue in, because I wanted to expand on some of the things Dwayne said. I just got out of a jury trial in Gwinnett County. For those of you in Atlanta, you'll know where Gwinnett County is. But it was a trial that involved it was a low impact collision. And for us personal injury lawyers, those can be challenging, right? Because the insurance companies don't want to pay, because they're going to say that the car wasn't damaged that bad, so the body couldn't have been damaged that bad. If you take these cases to trial, they're going to show a picture of the damage of the cars to the jury, and the jury is going to have the same kind of sentiment. But what I wanted to get into, so I want to start with the premise that insurance companies are in the business of taking your money, your premium payments, and they do not want to pay. They got to start with the basic premise that insurance companies do not want to pay. So as personal injury lawyers, our job is to force them to do what they're required to do, which is to compensate our clients for their bodily injuries. So one of the most important things in trying to accomplish that is in making sure that when an automobile accident happens, that when you're on the scene, that you gather all of the evidence that you possibly can to help your attorney prove that the other party was actually responsible or liable for committing that particular accident. And some of the things you want to do is you want to call the police, because the police department, that's the entity that's going to create and document exactly what happened. People don't realize it, but police officers have so much power when it comes to automobile accidents, because the way they write it up, their determination of fault, the narrative that Dwayne talked about, that's the narrative portion of the police report, how they write that up and how they describe what happened based on what the witnesses said. It means almost everything, right? Because that is the first instance that someone is called to the scene to investigate and is documenting what happened. But there are things that, as a client, as either a passenger or a driver of a vehicle, there are things that people can do as well to help gather evidence, to help their attorneys prove responsibility. So first you call the police. Next, you want to take pictures. You want to take pictures of the damage to your car. You want to take pictures of the damage to the car that hit you. You want to take pictures of the scene, the street, the location of where the accident occurred, so you have that properly documented. Dash cam videos are big these days. Dash cam video evidence is very good for us, right? Because a lot of times dash cameras will capture exactly what happened to cause the accident. It's very hard to dispute video evidence. Right. So I have a dash cam on my car. So I do. And so for that reason, I encourage people to get these dash cam videos because it helps to prove, what happened. I guess it can cut both ways too, right? If you're the one who caused the accident, it could be used against you as well. But dash cam
Then you
videos,
don't have it. Then you're like dash cam what?
yeah, I don't need no dash cam video. But dash cam videos are typically good. Sometimes people will, an accident will happen, and you see these traffic lights out there, these traffic cameras like above the red lights stop sign, and people say, well, I think the traffic cam caught the accident. Well, those in Georgia, those traffic cams, they don't record, they're just for traffic purposes. And so, what you need to do when you're involved in an accident to help gather this evidence I'm talking about is check your surroundings, see if there are any businesses around you, around the area that you're in that have cameras attached to their businesses. And take notes of that stuff because, we might have to get our private investigators like Dwayne was talking about to go out to those businesses to get the video camera footage that might have captured exactly what happened to help us prove our case. So be aware of your surroundings, try to notice, any businesses that might have cameras on their business so we can gather that video evidence. Another thing that's really good at accident scenes, and I've had clients to do this, is to get the at-fault driver to admit that they were responsible for causing the accident at the scene. I've even had clients savvy enough to get that on video recording on their phone, because it just happened. The person feels bad about it happening. They're apologetic. They're sorry. Get them to go ahead and admit that they were responsible for causing the accident. That'll save us a whole lot of time because once they admit that, their insurance company is going to have a hard time. Remember, they don't want to pay, right? They're going to have a hard time not paying. Their own insured has admitted that they've caused the accident. I think Dwayne referenced this. Get the other driver's insurance information. I think taking a picture of their driver's license is a good idea because you'll get their full name. Sometimes it is hard for us to get police reports with when names are missing and we just have a first name and not a last name, or if the police didn't come, there's no case number, so it's hard to recreate what might have happened. Duane mentioned this as well, and I think this is a very good point. Mention to the police officer, the police that are called to the scene to investigate, make sure to mention to them that you were in fact injured, that you were hurt. Officer, this accident caused my neck to hurt. I'm having neck pain. I'm having back pain. I'm having pain that's radiating down to my legs. That's important because the officer will then take that information and include that in his or her narrative that will become a part of the police report and ultimately a part of the evidence that we will need to prove the case to get our clients the money that they deserve for their bodily injuries. So those are just some things that I wanted to talk about and share about gathering evidence. The gathering evidence phase really, in my opinion, is one of the critical phases of a personal injury case. There's a lot more that goes into it after that, but when you gather that initial evidence properly, it makes our jobs a lot easier to help us to prove responsibility. And all that's going to do is help us to get checks for the bodily injuries that our clients have suffered and, checks into their pockets a whole lot faster.
Yeah. Wow. So would you suggest that people call you before they call their insurance company?
I would, because I'll tell you this, I started this by saying insurance companies don't want to pay. That includes your own insurance company. Mm-hmm. They don't want to pay either. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk to your insurance companies without talking to your lawyer first, and the insurance company is going to, first of all, they're going to record everything that you're saying. And what they're trying to do essentially is they're trying to gather information that they can use to not have to pay your claim. And so when you get a lawyer involved before giving an official statement to an insurance company, you're better off because the lawyer can then advise you properly on what you should and shouldn't be talking about. I mean, most people that get in these car accidents, they're not doctors. And so, they're not qualified to give an opinion as to what their medical injuries are at the, immediately following an accident. You shouldn't talk about bodily injuries to an insurance adjuster without your attorney. But they'll try to trick you and get you to talk about, hey, I really wasn't hurt that bad. And then they'll ultimately use that against you to not, want to pay the damages that you deserve.
Yeah. So, John, I'm going to tell you, than I guess everybody else. Because I've been in some car accidents. Okay. I'm not new to the car accident world, unfortunately. However, like everyone else, when you get in it, you're caught up in the event, right? And what happened and talking to the other person and getting their info and all of these things that are going on. And so, you know, the stuff that you and Dwayne have shared and that Anu, who's coming up next, will share as well, I'm sure, like this is real. These are real golden nuggets for folks because oftentimes you're a blank slate, right? And the only people you've ever been in contact with are the insurance company who claim they're going to pay for you because you've been paying them every month. Hello.
Right.
I'm not even going to name all the names of the people who, all the insurance companies that we all know good and well, right? Whose policies go up, up, up. I had my policy raised last time and I said, well, what was the claim? And it was because I called a tow truck.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up canceling it. I said, I didn't even use a tow truck. I canceled it. So they ended up taking it down $54. But they said, oh, the rest of the increase is because everybody's insurance is going up, right? So our insurance goes up, but they don't want to pay. And it really behooves us, it sounds like, to really protect ourselves, to really be proactive in making sure that whatever is due to us, that we get it. And the people who are on our side are really you.
Right. That's right. That is right. That's right. And then speaking about insurance, Dwayne kind of touched on this a little bit, but a lot of people don't fully understand their own insurance policies or what kind of coverage is even available in their particular state. I'll tell you, in Georgia, all drivers are required to have a minimum of $25,000 worth of liability coverage. And what that means is that's coverage that will kick in the event that you hit somebody and cause injuries and damages to another person. That's what the liability coverage is. And so in Georgia, you can drive a car and all you have to have is $25,000. Some people buy more than that, but that's the minimum that you're required to buy. In Georgia, underinsured motorist coverage is not required, but you can buy it and you should buy it. And for one of the reasons that Dwayne said, so let's say somebody hits you and all they have is the state law minimum $25,000, but the accident was severe enough and it caused you to have $500,000 worth of damages. Well, all that insurance company on the liability side is going to have to pay is $25,000. They'll pay that immediately. If you don't have underinsured motorist coverage, that's all you're going to get. I mean, sure, you could sue the at-fault driver to try to recover from them directly. But if they bought only $25,000 worth of coverage, are they really collectible for an amount up to $500,000? Probably not. And so, I always encourage people to look at their policies, buy underinsured motorist coverage up to the amounts that you can afford to pay because it's critical. Georgia also has what's called MedPay coverage. Florida it's called PIP, personal injury protection coverage. People don't know what that is. MedPay coverage, and the premiums aren't that high to get it, and they come in different increments. You could buy it in $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, all the way up to, I think, $100,000, $300,000. But MedPay coverage covers your medical bills in the event that you're involved in an accident, whether it's your fault or not. The beautiful thing about MedPay coverage is that, and this gets a little complicated, but let's say you get into a car accident and you have to get medical treatment, right, because you're injured. There's a couple of ways that you can pay for that medical treatment. You can use your health insurance coverage to pay for it. You can treat what's called treat on a lien, which essentially means that the doctor who is treating you is going to agree to hold off on collecting from you and wait until your case is resolved and then get the money from the settlement. That's called treating on a lien. And what MedPay coverage does is it will kick in up to the amounts of coverage that you've purchased to pay for that medical treatment. The beautiful thing about it is, let's say, for example, that you used health insurance to cover your medical treatment for your injuries. In certain circumstances, health insurance companies have to get reimbursed for the amounts of money that they paid for your treatment because there was a third-party liability claim. It's called a subrogation claim, which is a fancy word for reimbursement, right?
There's a lot of fancy words you're saying now.
A lot of fancy words. But MedPay coverage, in Georgia, there is no right for reimbursement. And so essentially what would happen is your medical bills would get paid by your med pay coverage under your policy. So then when it comes time to resolve the case, I no longer have to pay a reimbursement claim to a health insurance company. I no longer have to pay a lien to a doctor who's waiting to get paid out once the case resolves. It's already been satisfied through MedPay, and there's no right of reimbursement. There's no subrogation right for MedPay in Georgia.
So then you get to keep it all.
Puts the money back in the client's pocket. People don't know that.
Yeah, y'all
Know that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I know some of y'all were like, whoo, that's a lot. I want you to run the replay. I want you to run the replay. There's two options. One, you can run the replay on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, or subscribe to our newsletter where we're going to send you the replay for everything very easily, because I mean, that's amazing, right? Like in those little things about our coverage, about who to contact, about what sort of path to follow if and when you get in a car accident, can't be understated enough. John, you have been like a wealth of, you and Dwayne have just like adding on. I love it. Look, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes, thank you. And I'm gonna bring one of your fellow HBCUers to the screen. Mr. Anu Kemet, hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Keisha.
Good evening. All right, John, I'm gonna let you go because
you guys,
you done did your dollar's worth tonight. Very much appreciated.
For having me.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Kemet, how are you this evening?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I know you were in the background, like shaking along, like, yes, these brothers are laying it down. Anu Kemet is one of the two parts of Kemet Hunt Law. You are a Morehouse man and went to Vanderbilt for your law degree, correct?
And my divinity degree.
And his divinity degree. That's right. That's right. And I'll tell you, for all you out there in viewer land, I know y'all think that these are not babes in the woods. Okay, these are seasoned attorneys who, between the three of them, have over 60 years of legal experience. Don't let the black don't crack fool you. Okay, these brothers know what they're talking about, and they have put some years. They have some years behind their belt. So I'm going to ask you, because every one of you have really like sort of added to the pot. And so when folks get in a car accident and they call your office and they're like, I've been in a car, I should have called you. That's what I should have done when I got into some of these car accidents, because I was out here like, look, I'm not special, y'all. I'm out here struggling just like you. You get into a car accident and you're full of emotion. You don't know what to say, what to do. What do you tell your clients like when they call?
Well, first of all, I'm following John and Dwayne, and they covered a lot of territory.
They did, but let me tell you, it all sinks in multiple layers, right? So each of you, each of you share it in a different way too, which permeates differently.
But you must have confidence in me to fill in the gaps, because there weren't many. Let me go in a bit of a different direction. First of all, tell your lawyer everything. Everything, and tell them often, and get it out early. So the best story or the best recollection you're going to have of the accident is the closest in time. So quick as possible, get everything in writing. Also talk to the other passengers in the vehicle, their other passengers, get their impressions. Make sure you have their current contact information, names, addresses, full information. Another thing is get treatment and follow through to the completion of treatment. I can't tell you how many cases that we have come in our office, and we understand people have busy lives, and they once they're better enough, once they've recovered enough, they don't want to complete for the treatment. And you have to remember that if you're treating, this is your one time. If you don't complete your treatment now and your case resolves, and years later you still have this back pain, you still have this neck pain, your shoulder still radiating, you're out of luck. This is your chance. Be patient with yourself. And keeping that in mind when you select the place that you treat, usually you want it to be convenient to you, convenient to your work or your home or your schedule. So it won't be way out of your way to get the proper treatment so you can be well again.
Yeah.
Those are key things. Another
Mhm.
thing is that I always tell people that lawyers are like doctors. We have different bedside manners. Some people want it straight. You have 6 months to live. There is no hope. Go home and prepare for death. Some people want a fluffier story. Okay. Some people are more storytellers. Some people are more jokesters. Like, we're all lawyers, but we have different personalities. Make sure you select a lawyer you feel comfortable with, because depending on what jurisdiction you're in, it can take up to a year and sometimes longer to resolve these cases. And you want to make sure you feel confident and comfortable with your attorney, because this relationship that you have with this person might be going on for quite a bit of time. Another
Right.
thing I didn't talk about, because I was taking notes. This was not covered, right? And they did leave me some right?
And we have some questions too that have come in that I want to ask you as well.
I'm ready, right? Property damage, right? Law firms are different. I mean, we typically don't handle property damage. People are quite often resolve that themselves, but nevertheless, there's things that you need to know about that. First of all, you're not a slave, or you're not chained to the insurance company's estimate of what your property damage is. Okay.
Mhm.
There are companies out here and there are experts out here who can give an assessment and appraised value of your vehicle's value on that day. Like John was saying earlier, insurance companies are in the business of taking your money and denying as many claims as possible for as many reasons as possible. And they don't want to fully pay out on your property damage. We already covered the issue of make sure that you know what, how, and what you're covered for. Do you have rent-a-car? Do you have MAD pay? How much is your deductible? The worst thing that could happen is, I have a case like this now where the woman, she was, her injuries are extensive, but the coverage is minimal.
Mhm.
And in that scenario, because she has government health insurance, there's nothing wrong with it. They have a lien on it. It leaves for her personal recovery, coupled with the minimum amount of insurance that the at-fault driver had. It leaves very little room to maneuver to really deal with the scope of injury she had. And if she would have had different types of coverage for her vehicle, in addition to the vehicle that hit her, she would be looking at a very different scenario than what she's looking at now. So these are also, don't make any statements, okay, to anyone other than the police if you must. Another thing is, if you believe the other driver has been drinking or might be under the influence, alert the police that this was going on. We talked about fully documenting it. We talked about pictures, video, all of these things as close in time as possible. Now, even if you're shook up, if there's other people in the vehicle, they might not have been injured in the same manner as you have. You can tell them to do so. Sometimes we have issues where the vehicle is towed somewhere. As soon as you're well and you're able to, get to your vehicle and take some pictures. It's much more, your case presents so much better and so much more thoroughly when we have photo documentation, rather than this vehicle's been salvaged, it's damaged, we didn't get the pictures, and we can't tell the scope of the injuries and really tell the story in the way that we need to tell the story.
Wow. So let me tell you, y'all, I'm so guilty because I should be calling this is before Justis Connection, let me say that, where, got into a car accident, and it's not my first car accident, but a later one, and should have called an attorney. Because all of the things that they're sharing today make the difference. And I know, if I don't have money to hire you to represent me for a car accident case, is that okay? Like, do I need money up front? I already know the answer to this, y'all, but go ahead.
Typically, personal injury cases are taken on a contingency basis historically. Typically, the lawyer takes 1% if they never file suit and only make a demand. They take a higher percentage if it goes to trial or the lawsuit is filed, and yet and still another higher percentage if they prevail and the other party appeals and they have to defend an appeal. One of the things about that construct is that the lawyer's all in. If I'm paying for the case, if I'm financing your case, if I don't win, I don't get paid. And you can rest assured that lawyers are going to evaluate your case and the likelihood of recovery prior to taking on your case. Because, I mean, to be honest with you, it's your case, but it's also a business decision for the attorney quite often.
Right, because you guys are taking on all of the expenses in the beginning.
Exactly.
No one needs, you don't need, let me repeat that. You do not need money up front to hire an attorney if you get into a car accident. So money is not the issue, right? Money is not the issue to be a barrier.
And I'll also tell you that part of the immigrant community, I have a fair amount of Spanish speakers and English speakers that this issue will come up. They are being sued sometimes as the at-fault driver, and they want to come and hire me. And I said, well, you could hire me, but typically you have insurance. Take this claim to your insurance company. You've paid for coverage. They're going to provide an attorney for you, or at least you have to present the lawsuit to them so they're alerted to it and they can provide coverage. If you never present it, you're paying to defend a lawsuit out of pocket when you had automobile insurance. Really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Got it. Didn't know that. All right. So if you get sued, you have auto insurance. They're supposed to cover you on the back end. So we had a question. If you're in an accident and filing a suit against the other driver, does one have to be out of work for a particular amount of time, say like 3 months or so?
I saw this question. First of all, every jurisdiction is different, but as it relates to you have to be out of work, no jurisdiction that I've ever heard of, including New York. Part of the reason why that wouldn't be the case is the fact that let's say you didn't work. Okay, so I don't work, so I can't file a lawsuit. Being out of work, no, but I will say as a part of your lawsuit, you want to demonstrate the life impact. One thing is your lost wages. Okay, this seems obvious. How many days of work did you miss to get treated or recovering related to this accident? Additionally, different ways that it impacts your life. Okay, were you able to pick up your grandkids or your child? Were you able to exercise in the way? Did you miss different trips and vacations? The more that you can share the different impacts of your life, it tells the story of your case. Because I do a lot of this, but your case is special to you. This is your life, and we and the judge and the jury won't know your life if you don't let us know. And I know that sometimes there's a sort of stereotype that people are just hungry for money. Nobody wants to be in a car accident. Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to be injured. And in my experience, people downplay the injury. They downplay the impact. They downplay the severity of the trauma that they experienced because just quite honestly, it's not pleasant to talk about. But if we go to trial or if we talk settlement, or for the lawyer to really be able to represent your interests, you have to share those things. Sometimes it's sharing things of intimacy, hygiene, sleep. I mean, it just goes all the gambit. But the more we know, the better we can present who you are and how this is impacted to the judge and the jury.
Yeah, wow. Really great point. And it goes to your first statement that you made, which is tell your lawyer everything, right? And making sure that you choose someone that you feel comfortable with so that you can have that confidence in being able to openly communicate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. So Anu, before I let you go, because I know the hour is 9, but I have to ask you the question of the hour, right? Black women. It's Women's History Month. I know. Look, I saved this question for Anu on the back end because I know this brother's about to break this thing down like y'all don't know. But tell me, what comes to mind when I say Black women?
Well, first of all, I'm a history major, so I'm ready for this. For me, I would say peaches and fire, right? For me, when I think of Black women, I think of Hatshepsut, I think of Nzinga, I think of Asada, I think of Angela. I mean, the Black women that I most admire, they're warriors. I mean, they put it down. They don't take any gumption. They're right there on the front line. And if you look at our history, I mean, that's our history. Ida B. Wells, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. I mean, for me, Black women are warriors. They're our partners. We're in this together, and we need each other. And nothing can be done worth doing without one another. So I just look at it as sort of a symbiotic relationship. We're all one, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh.
Told y'all. Okay. Sir, Attorney Anu Kemet, thank you so much for joining us this evening and dropping some real pearls of wisdom. You make it look easy, but for many of us, for most of us tuning in tonight and beyond, this is information that we can take for ourselves and as well as share with others. So I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, y'all, I told you I was gonna be amazing, right? They were each one, because remember, they do similar areas of law, right? Personal injury, but nevertheless, what they shared was uniquely rich, each and every one of them, and really being able to break down not only what you do on the back end, but what you do on the front end with the insurance company. I'm gonna run this replay a couple of times because we got a bunch of nuggets to bring forth out of this, because it's all about us being informed, right? It's all about us being prepared. It's all about us being empowered people, right, with information. And so this is what we do all day at Justice Connection. This is what we do, y'all. So, for those who are just tuning in somehow at the end, you still need to know who we are. And we are the premier Black attorney referral platform in the country. We're operational in DC, Maryland, Virginia, with attorneys also in Georgia and Florida. And we're expanding big time in the A. So if you in the A and you know an attorney, please go ahead and send them my way, right? Connect with us because we're building, and Justice Connection is the place for Black lawyers to be. It is the place for you to connect with Black lawyers, to have a place where you have that trusted information in the law. Because I'm telling you, the law, that's the cornerstone to our democracy. Too long denied. And so we are here to educate and empower you 24/7. So if there's something that you're like, Keisha, we need to know about, you can put that in the chat now. You can put that in the chat later. Go ahead and put something in there and let me know what's on your mind, right? We kicked off the year with estate planning, wealth building. That's when you want to run back, okay? We had some tech in the beginning, so you might have missed that one, but the January one was fire as well, right? We had attorney Portia Wood, who's bi-coastal. She's based in California and Virginia, as well as Miles Franklin, based in Virginia, share with us big time deep on the estate planning. Because I'm telling you, if you are listening right now to the sound of my voice and you don't have a will, trust, and estate plan, come check your girl. Okay, because we need to connect you. And I'm not talking about just connect you with an attorney and go off into the sunset. I'm talking about giving you options. I'm talking about making sure that when you do make that decision, that you feel well informed and educated in it. So I invite you to stay in touch with us, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And I invite you also to subscribe to our website. right? Subscribe to our newsletter, I should say, via our website. So we have a monthly newsletter that we put out with tips and information, legal information about new lawyers who are joining. And I'm telling y'all, one of the joys of Justice Connection is being able to see all of these dynamic, amazing, intelligent, brilliant Black attorneys. Amazing. First, them three right there. First of all, they good on the eyes. All three of them. And I'm not lying. They all came out of law school like 20 years ago, right? They got that smooth Black skin that you don't know if they're 25 or 55, somewhere in between. But it's about the legal acumen that they have acquired over the years. So they take their legal training, their years of experience, and they take your unique situation and put that together. That's what you get when you get that Black attorney. You get the cultural competency of someone who's willing to go to bat for you and your family. So that's why we do what we do. We're here for you. Anything that we can do to better serve you and empower you in the law, hit us up, stay connected. And thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you so much. We don't take it lightly that you chose this evening or whenever to tune in and to be connected. And so we thank you, we love you. And I usually like to jam out with some music. I should have had my my playlist teed up, but I didn't. And let me tell you, because I'm an attorney, but these other ones, they be for real, for real. So I only get to play snippets of every song, but I made a little Power to the People playlist because that's how I do all day long. Running Justice Connection, this is how we get to celebrate. So y'all don't know this jam though. Y'all don't know this one. Thank you, Aaliyah, for being here. Deidre, appreciate you. Corey, Allison, Deborah, Jordan, Shani, Obi, thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in. Derek, I see you. Thank you, Janelle and Sean. So I gotta play my iTunes music too. All right. Oh, you don't know this one? This is Tobacco Pyramid, just in case you was wondering. When they can't spell, but I got them up we under. You can't tell them I'm different from woman. Yeah, the people them as well. The food that we can follow all and we tell them about the benefits. I see y'all still tuned in. If you still ain't tuned in and you jamming with me, go ahead and put something in the comments. Let me know what you think. Get so stagnant. You have it strong like Junior gun flap man. Me say me can't breathe. This a suffocation. The people living in a separation. Me can't breathe. My feet clash up out it. Y'all know this one. I'm gonna leave on this one. We gotta keep our head up, whatever we do out here, right? Thank you again to John Moore, Anu Kemet, Dwayne King. This is us signing off. Have a good night, everyone.